Hi again, everybody. This is Charlene O'Hanlon, Managing Editor at DevOps.com, and I am here at DevOps World, Jenkins World 2018 San Francisco, having a lot of really great conversations here, including the one we're about to have with Nima Badiey, who is the Head of Product Development at Pivotal. Nima, thanks so much for taking a few minutes.
Pleasure having me here. And I'll do a quick correction. So I'm responsible for business development on all of our partner ecosystem, but that's okay. Because we made a decision a while back that the home of all of our partners should be as close to R&D as possible and not as an adjunct, like a part of sales or part of corp dev. And that has worked fabulously for Pivotal, who's a technology company, bringing our partners as close to us and our core engineering function as possible.
Okay, so, I have no idea where partner development came
that's
from.
Okay, that's okay. It's end of the day after 3 long days, I totally understand.
Yes. Well, just proving that I am not infallible, I suppose. So thanks for taking a few minutes and talking with me today, even if I am getting your title wrong. Let's talk about where you, as your company is seeing your customers on their DevOps journey, because I'm talking to different people and everybody seems to be at a different place, but we all seem to be at least a little farther down the road than we were. So what are you seeing with your customers?
So Pivotal, which was a offshoot out of VMware and EMC about 6 years ago, we just went public back in April after 5 years. We are an enterprise software company, so effectively we call ourselves the cloud native application platform company, and if you're used to more legacy vernacular, it would have been called middleware at some point in the way distant past.
Well familiar with middleware, yeah.
But the next gen middleware, the next gen really cloud portable, cloud agnostic middleware, enterprise grade middleware. So a lot of our customers are Fortune 1000, Global 2000. And in most cases, they are undertaking a big digital transformation and enterprise transformation journey where they recognize that if they do not adhere to the adage of software is eating the world, and if they don't become a software company, another company will come in and take that role away from them. So large 100-year-old insurance companies are genuinely worried that in 10 years, they're going to go the way of Blockbuster, they're going to go the way of Sears, Roebuck, or Woolworth, or whoever is no longer on the top 100 companies.
Right.
And they recognize that software companies is not something you offshore, but it has to be part of your core, because you can't release software every 6 months anymore. You can't release software every 18 months. It literally has to be on a weekly cadence. And so that journey has 4 parts, or 4 key components. The first is you have to adopt an agile mindset. And this is more than just, okay, I read a book by Gene Kim and I'm ready for the Phoenix Project, right? I can it too, nobody's going to give you a 400-page manual that says, now you can fly a 747. They're going to sit on the pilot seat and fly the airplane, you watch, and the next time you're going to fly together, hand on stick. And the third time you get to fly and they get to make sure and coach you. And we have that mentality too with a lot of our customers. I do, you watch, we do, you do, I watch.
Okay.
And we take the Agile manifesto to its extreme. So it's not just Agile development, it's Agile programming, it's extreme programming, it's paired programming. It's having an idea during the day, doing inceptions, building software, releasing multiple times per day, doing retrospectives. It's a very open kimono culture.
Okay.
Bringing that to the enterprise, the Fortune 1000 is difficult. The senior management wants it, but it's not always easy to move that ship in a different direction. It's very difficult to transform. So the first part is, let's give you the tools, the techniques, that cultural mindset to be able to become a truly agile company. The second element is you got to break the monolith. You have a lot of legacy applications. Maybe you've grown through M&A, you have multiple .NET and Linux-based applications, different runtimes, different legacy, whatever, but they're big. And it's hard to manage, and it's even harder to upgrade. So the second step is really break that into composable services, and to adopt microservices architectures, farm out as much of this as you can into repeatable components that other groups can own, so you can quickly update modules without having to completely retest the whole thing and go through very expensive and long, arduous QA cycles.
Okay.
The third part is you need to have a modern cloud-native platform, and that's really where Cloud Foundry comes in, and Pivotal, the company behind Cloud Foundry. What you want is a multi-cloud, portable stack where I can build an application once, and I can deploy it on Amazon, or on vSphere, or on OpenStack, or on whatever cloud that I want. But I'm not locked into their specific vernacular for how applications be deployed and managed. Okay. It's kind of like a write once and run anywhere, the original promise of Java. And the fourth part is my favorite. That's really where the DevOps best practices, continuous integration and continuous deployment really come in. And I think this is what James Governor once quoted, or recently quoted as being the gateway drug to progressive application delivery.
I love that.
I know, and at first you think, oh, drugs, that's terrible. Why would you use that analogy? Yeah. But if you think about it, if I'm an application developer and I'm being asked to help the company be successful by responding quickly to changing market conditions, I can no longer afford to take 6, 12, 18 months to build software and deliver something that is no longer relevant to the market. Right. I need to be able to tack and jibe like a sailboat very, very quickly, but keep my eye on the horizon. And the way I do that is to spend the majority of my time building applications. I shouldn't spend the majority of my time trying to figure out how do I deploy my applications. That's where the tooling, the automation from continuous integration, test harnesses, test suites, continuous deployment really comes into place. We've come here to this conference really to see what are the leading thought, the leading ideas that we can then adopt as not only best practices for our own internal software development, but also what are customers doing? You know, where are the concerns, what are the concerns customers have? Where are they investing in that CI/CD technology? Who are they looking to? And it's been very compelling to us to see all these other companies, kind of this proliferation of startups and mid-cap companies come into this space and bring their tooling. Right. Every other booth I go to is yet another CI or CD provider, and they have a different approach to it. And all of them are roughly doing fairly well for themselves. So it's great, an indicator. It's like a leading indicator that this is really coming into its own, and it's no longer a luxury that only some companies can afford to have. It's something of a, it's table stakes. You know, you're going to have it no matter what. So these four elements have really helped us transform the big enterprise into a very nimble, almost like a Silicon Valley company. And who are these companies? They're big banks in New York, they're insurance companies, they're actuarials, they're healthcare companies, they are automobile manufacturers, they are big airlines and industrials, all across the board in every sector, in every vertical, and in every industry.
Wow. That's really fascinating. You know, and you make it sound so simple, right? But I imagine
it's hard, but once the recipe looks good, right? You open the menu.
I can do this.
And there's a couple of meals, the hard part is, there's professionals in the kitchen who are helping you prepare this wonderful meal at, what is it, like, what's that restaurant in Napa called? Oh yeah, that one, which I'm forgetting, which is horrible. French Laundry, thank you.
Oh yes,
right?
yes.
So an amazing team of experts will prepare a professional and expert meal for you, and you get to enjoy a 14-course meal. But for every minute that you sit at the table, someone has probably spent an hour to get you there. And those learnings, those are hard to come by. And you don't want, a bank by themselves to have to go and, cut their teeth on it every single time. Because adopting new technologies like containerizing applications, running on something like Cloud Foundry or Kubernetes, for some companies can be a bag of knives if they're not helped into that. Or even adopting Agile. Being more agile, being faster product development necessarily isn't going to work with only one part of the organization is fast, but the rest are still on the old train. So we're helping our customers get it right first, and then they can truly leverage everything that's going to come behind it. And there are so many great companies and so many great ideas just in this conference alone, and it represents just one concern in the greater enterprise.
So when you are helping companies go through these transformations, how big of a role do you see culture within the organizations playing in?
Culture is king. If you don't have a team from the bottom up who's willing to experiment and try new things and just take the lead, you're not going to be successful. If you don't have middle managers who are going to enable those entrepreneurial teams to be quick, to experiment, to fail fast, you're not going to be successful. If you don't have the buy-in from upper management, the direction, the funding, the resources to do that, all these things have to happen. So from the top to the bottom, everyone has to agree we're going to work a certain way. For a lot of our customers, what's really helped is, for example, they might have an application development team in a building in New York City, or in Cleveland, Ohio, or in Chicago. And they have physically relocated their teams to a different building. And they have laid out that building completely differently. They have open offices, they have long tables where people can sit next to each other in pairs. They have open areas and couches for people to have kind of organic conversation. They have physically disintermediated even the workspace just to get people to be able to open their minds and open their eyes to a different way of working. And now they have permission to do that.
Right.
And what you see is a very open environment where we're going to talk about what we're going to build, right? Let's get in a room together and we'll use stickies and describe the user story. Not just a feature I want, but how will people use that story? I'm going to turn that into a requirement that we will deliver as software. At the end of the week, we're all going to get together in a room, and for 30 minutes, we're going to talk about what's working, what's kind of sort of meh, and then what's really not working. We're going to be very open kimono. That type of transparency, that radical candor, it's hard to come by.
Right.
And you have to convince your customers that there will be a safe space for them to do that. But for those who do, you'll be able to move at the velocity of the Googles of the world, of the Amazons of the world, of the Pivotals of the world. And that's what every company really wants and aspires to, but they may not have the recipe because they haven't worked that way.
Well, I think also, companies traditionally aren't used to the idea of it's okay to screw up.
Yeah.
And that's what DevOps is all about. So all of a sudden you're giving companies permission to say, it didn't work.
Yeah.
We screwed up and we're going to go back and we're going to try it again. I mean, we live in a society that celebrates perfection. So telling people that it's okay not to be perfect, I think is a hard thing for a lot of companies to embrace, people in general to embrace and to realize that this is the way it's supposed to be done.
Yeah, and it's interesting, you say that a lot of the structure that exists in big organizations today are because somewhere someone messed up.
Right.
Well, that happened, so I'm going to put a policy in place, and now you have these phase gates you have to go through, and those phase gates might take weeks on end.
Right.
Think about it, I'm an application developer. I need a virtual machine just to put my application. I have to go through a 2-week permission process just to get a VM provision, because at some point in the past, something happened that now we have this process. And I feel like that's where ITIL came from, right? And you think about the world, and so many people have adopted ITIL as the standard, but ITIL slows you down. It was originally designed to slow you down to be safe, but you're not productive.
Right.
And you're not efficient. And worst of all, you're not responsive to your customers' needs, to the changing market conditions, to the new trends and new technologies that are coming. So you fall behind a little bit, and then you fall behind a little bit more. And over time, you can't even catch up anymore.
Right.
Technologies like automated DevOps, CI, CD, Cloud Native Application Platform, Cloud Foundry, some of the products that we work on, they give you a one-time buy. You're going to be able to catch up and leapfrog, but if you do that, you're going to have to stay the course and be fast and be nimble. And I think that's why the cultural components and the way we build software and the way we deploy software, they all go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other.
Makes total sense. Wow, so much to think about, Nima. Thank you so much for walking me through that. It's interesting because I haven't traditionally thought of Pivotal in this space per se, but it makes a lot of sense that you guys are here. So thank you very much. I appreciate your taking the time and walking me through it.
Well, it's been my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Great. All right. Enjoy the show.
Thank you.